Good morning, everyone. I pray everyone is having a blessed and wonderful morning so far, getting up on your glory. May God give you grace on this day, that may God walk with you, talk with you, keep you covered, protect you from danger seen or unseen. So we're going to go into our Father's prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, Lord, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I wanted to share this morning with everybody, how people can be, the American justice system can be hypocritical. I'm glad that I had captured a moment in America in February. I believe it was in February of 2011. It was a young kid by the name of Trayvon Martin. And I never forget that day when the news broke out that Trayvon Martin was stalked by the neighborhood watchman, George Zimmerman, who stalked this 17-year-old, a 17-year-old high school kid that was having a little problems. His parents were going through a separation of a marriage or a divorce or whatever. And they were sharing parenting, co-parenting. Trayvon was at his father's house with his dad for some time because the parents' name were Tracy and Sabrina. What happened is that the father, Tracy, at the time was out. He had left out that evening on some kind of function or event. But of course, Trayvon is 17, and I believe they had also another little sister. Trayvon went out to get some snacks. I guess he went to go get some Skittles and some and a iced tea or whatever. He went to a convenience store, and that evening he was stalked and gunned down by a neighborhood watchman by the name of George Zimmerman. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the video because I did this video, and it says my views and opinions on Trayvon Martin. And all it was an outcry across almost every state in New York, Florida, and it really went out to the public, and people was on an outcry for justice. They never brought George Zimmerman in and arrested him for the murder of Trayvon Martin. Now, when I play the video, I'm glad I had captured this event and I put it in content as part of my part at the time to share my views how this man should have been arrested. It had to take the whole America to come and say, why hasn't he been arrested? And what make it so interesting is that what you see happening now is what happened to Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old in the state of Frisco, out in Texas. He was at a sporting event, which was a track meet that morning with his schoolmates to to run track, and then the tent. See, this is why I can say how media can spin the narrative and cause racism, and it's not on us. It's not Black America. It's white America. It's white supremacists. They got the upper hand to spin the narrative before anybody came forward to give any details of what happened, of the arrest what was taking place that day. They kept the cameras on the family. They kept the cameras spinning. They kept saying, oh, this white boy was stabbed in the heart and he just asked this black kid to move and he just picked up a knife and stabbed him right in the heart without even really getting all the full details before it hit media. And they made sure that they kept all the attention on the get the play on the emotions of white people. They put everything aside about um, Kamalo, about his great achievements in school, an honor student, never been in trouble with the law, never, this kid was just at a track meet. He's actually there because he's supposed to be there. Because, yes, Austin plays football, so do Carmelo from a different school. Carmelo attends Centennial, and of course, he was on their school grounds because that's where the track meet was going to be taking place at their school grounds. And the children gather, and it's okay for them to gather under other tents that are there when they playing from another school, when they playing from another school. It started raining outside. Kids were under there until probably the rain got a little lighter so the kids can sit under the tent to stay dry. They things are under the tent, what's and everything. You know what the narrative said? Oh, he was there probably trying to steal things out of other people. Because he's a black kid. This kid is a good kid. And on that day, April the 2nd, my heart is breaking. Carmelo was supposed to start his first job working for HEB. It's a bit large supermarket out in Texas. I know because I lived in Texas. So HEB, he was supposed to start his job there at HEB as a cashier. This young man, his whole life, your life can just, you never know, your life can change so instantly. He had everything going for him. He's only 17. He's still a baby. He's still a baby. He hasn't even finished high school yet. But he gets into an altercation with a white boy by the name of Austin McClaff. And also, Austin McClaff has his twin brother there along with him, Hunter McClaff. And when you go and search more and more for the truth, you're going to see that there's a lot of stuff that is hidden. They're going to make it sound like this baby, Carmelo. It's so hard for me to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it because it needs to be heard out there. I lived through this experience. I saw it happen before. I saw how it played out before. White man stalks child, a 17-year-old black boy, kills him, gets to go home. Nobody arrested him. Then when the outcry came from the public, that's when they brought, it took at least, I don't know how long before they brought him in and arrested him and brought him on charges. It didn't play out the same way like this for Anthony when he said this is it's self-defense, right? Because first of all, he didn't stab him with a knife. You're gonna find that out. That's why a lot of stuff ain't been put to the public yet of really what happened. And the people are out here throwing out threats to Anthony Kamalo's family, terrorizing the family, posting all kind of lies on social media, bringing up all kind of lies. They, and making the deceased sound like he was innocent just because he's the deceased. But nobody is really looking into how this whole thing escalated. Who was wrong and who was right? If Austin would have just mind his business, not came over there, bullying Carmelo, or he would have went and got a coach or some accident adult that was there, that if they was able to be there and mind his business and stop trying to play the security, he would have still been alive. The father got on there, the mother got on there. Come to look at them, both of them parents, I could tell they both drug addicts, addicted, and maybe recovering addicts. They on something. They first of all, they look far more too old for their age, for what they really are. They probably no more in their 40s or maybe, but they look like they 70 because of the hard life they've been living down there in Texas. They look like junkies. They look like drug addicts. Then he had the nerve to try to attack Carmelo's family status when he came to what kind of parents are raising these kids. Okay, if you go do your research, you know that Carmelo Anthony parents are still married. They're still married, raising their son. He's not coming from a broken home. He's not coming from a broken family. See, they didn't put that out there to the media. But they wanted to make you believe that he's a murderer, he's a criminal, he's a this. They trying to paint this mind photo in your head, and Megan Kelly, that racist supremacist, that high racist supremacist. You know what? We should start coming for her job because she doesn't know how to report good media. She does not know how to put good information out for the public. She does not know how to be unbiased. She's a racist, and she needs to be canceled. Anybody that speaks on things and they holding a large platform to the community and they put out this kind of information, misinformation, they should not be able to have a platform because you are bringing racial tension and you causing trouble and you causing people, innocent people, lives to be affected by this. So anyway, I'm going to get into this video. This is me. I did this video. Oh my God, I forgot. It was such a long time ago. This is from one of my other channels that I used to hold here. I still have the channel, but I don't go on that channel. I use this platform to advocate against injustice. This is my channel, Casey McDaniel. This is my channel to advocate against injustice. So I'm gonna play the video, and this is me. Is going to be on the topic of Trayvon Martin. I know a lot of people have been following this story about the 17-year-old teenager Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida, who was coming from the 7-Eleven in a gated community with purchasing um, some candy, some Skittles, and some iced tea for his younger brother, his stepbrother that was at the house, and he just went for a walk and he was pursued and he was gunned down by a neighborhood watchman by the name of George Zimmerman. This is a heartbreaking story. Many homes are interrupted by this story, being that the gunman Zimmerman was not brought up on any charges or was arrested. And the Sanford police and the Sanford um, County is going to go by the law of him being able to stand his own grounds. And many witnesses were out that evening, and there were also people that made phone calls to 911 that they heard some screaming outside, something was going on, and by the time police arrived to the scene, the young man was dead. Um, the father of the young man was looking for his child for like 3 days, and it's so disturbing about the story. It's just so heartbreaking. I just can't really put everything in detail. If you've been following the story, you already know what has happened and what's now in the process of happening. And a lot of people are on the uproar about it. A lot of people are getting involved in other states
Even myself, I'm wearing my hoodie right now to represent for the young man, Trayvon Martin, hoping that this would bring his family some release and that this George Zimmerman will be brought up on charges and also be arrested. This is going out to every young boy's life out there, young black males that are out there. Me, myself, have young black.
This is what I'm saying. The young black man's life is under attack. Listen to what I'm saying. This was Trayvon Martin at the age of 17. He was out that evening to go to a convenience store in Sanford, Florida, to pick up some snacks. And on his way walking back home, he was being followed by a neighborhood watchman in Stanford, Florida by the name of George Zimmerman. Now, here it is. Carmelo Anthony, who's supposed to be the perpetrator, but they arrested him, brought him in, and they already charged him and put his bond out for $1 million. They raised his bond to $1 million. This is how we got to replay and remind them of who they are, of who they are. And this is how I know God is on our side because of the racist, systematic justice system here in America. Was this treatment done when your own have killed and stalked a young black man? Was he served any justice? Trayvon Martin? And then on top of that, when they gave the verdict, George Zimmerman got to walk free. George Zimmerman got to walk free. This right here is a reminder. This is a replay. And I did this video. And it was a reason God has set this video up for me. And now here we go back and we come to 2025. And till this day, this is still going on in white America, with white America in the justice system. Is never in favor of us. And the world now is watching.
Male children in my family, and only God knows if something like this was to ever happen, what state of mind I would be in right now. I don't know if I'm going to wait for justice. I might just have to do something like take justice in my own hand and believe to go down for what I believe in. That's what I would. That's what I'm saying right now. But that's probably where my state of mind would have went if this was my child or a member of my family's child or whatever. As I'm moving along in the story and why I'm making this video is that I just feel I need to do something. The state that I'm in, they're not taking any action against this. Like a lot of other states surrounding me are doing things like going out there, getting people involved, making letting they voice be heard about this whole thing. For the prayers for the family, for the justice for the family that is heartbroken over it. None of this is going to bring Trayvon back, but it can help somebody's child out there. So this would never have to occur again, where somebody's child is being gunned down by some guy.
You hear what I said? So this would never have to occur again. We had a fight about this before. But now this time it's a young 17-year-old athlete. Well, both of them were the same age and both were athletes. But who made it a racial thing? We just looking for justice. We just asking that if this young man, Carmelo, actually did something to defend himself. Why wasn't the same rules applied for him as it was for George Zimmerman? Even though it's two different states, but they both carry the same law. They both states, Texas and Florida, stand your grounds. Self defense. But in this case with George Zimmerman, he stalked Trayvon Martin. He stalked him. The young man didn't come up to him and just started, trying to hurt him or do anything to him. The young man was walking home from a convenient drugstore. I mean, not convenient drugstore, a convenient gas station, a store, whatever, out there in Florida to go buy himself a little snack. And George Zimmerman walked and he didn't listen to what and listen to this.
I, George Zimmerman, another George Zimmerman, that this something like this won't happen in the future for the life of somebody else's child. You know, I also want to say I just want to just put my heart out there for Tracy Martin and also for Miss Fulton, his mom. That
His mother name was Sabrina Fulton, and the dad name was Tracy Martin. It was such a sad day, and just it happened. And when it happened, Trayvon just turned 17 because it happened in February. He was about to turn 17. He just turned 17. If I could remember, Trayvon's Martin birthday was in February. And when that had happened to Trayvon, I always kept it dear to my heart. I always kept his story always dear to my heart. It just touched so deeply that this young boy's life meant nothing to America. The same way they tried to do to Carmelo. Carmelo was a good kid. And they trying to make this little white boy sound like he was such an angel. Like he didn't provoke his own death. That's why it's so important I get this story out there, and I'm praying and hoping it will touch somebody. Will hear this story. Somebody will come across this video here with us. The way they treating him and how they treating his family. This isn't right, y'all. This isn't right at no level. This is not justice. This is so a travesty of injustice of what they doing to Carmelo Anthony. The same way they did to Trayvon Martin. A black man's life means nothing in America. Let's go on.
my heart is there for you, and I just pray that justice will prevail, that you will get what's right for the life of your child. All those who are out there fighting now to get things done, I applaud you. I honor you for what you're doing right now. This is some serious stuff, and I believe if this did not go work, got out to other places, if it wasn't like something that was blown out to the public, this would have been swept under the rug, and your poor child would have just been dying in vain. And his life is going to mean something, even when it's gone. Um, his spirit is with us right now. I haven't been able to rest since I heard this whole thing. I just recently just got active with it because I didn't know this had happened on February 26th. It wasn't on the news until somebody had to go and do an investigation and find Trayvon's the phone calls that were made, the 911 calls, and when Trayvon's father was looking for him for like 3 days, and he was in the morgue, and nobody even did no investigation on the scene when this had happened. No police officers went around asking questions. Have anybody saw anything or heard anything? They just took this boy's body and just put it in a morgue for 3 days. when his father had to come looking for his child, showing a picture that anybody see his child, and then finally he gets to the morgue and his son is dead in cold blood. The more you get into this story, the more it breaks your heart, breaks you down of all that had happened and how this thing was handled. And I truly believe that the chief of the department should be fired. Everybody in that whole department that was there on the scene should be fired. I don't believe these people. Something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. That this young man's life was just taken like that, and nobody did a full investigation. I remember at a time, somebody was shot outside the window, outside my window. I'm sorry, outside the building I was living in, outside my window, in the apartment complex that I lived in. Someone was murdered, maybe 4 something a.m. in the morning, and it, and then I know that the police officers came, knocked on my door, detectives and everything, because my window was like right there in the front. And they came and they knocked on the door and they asked, did anybody hear anything? And I said, yes, I did hear something. I did hear some like gunshots or firecrackers in the night or whatever. But, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't bother to look out the window, because when you hear something like that, you're not going to look out the window anyway, because you're afraid something might come flying at you. So all I could do, and it was at 4 a.m., and so I was like in my bed anyway, but I did hear it, but you like half sleep, half woke. So when the detectives knocked on my door and everything, I came to the door and I just like asked what was going on, and of course I'm afraid. I'm there by myself, so you don't want to open your door. And they said I'm the detective, and they put the thing, and I opened it, and then I said yes, sir. And he said, ma'am, did you hear anything? There was anything going on outside under your window, whatever, whatever. And I said, sir, I did hear something. So I'm just saying, I'm just sharing that story. Here's like what happened with Trayvon is that I can't believe they didn't even go and ask neighbors or people that might have heard anything or saw anything. This is what really upsets me about how this whole thing was handled. And it was just like not done very well, not not done where, it felt like they was going to do anything about the fact that Trayvon is dead. And I truly believe somebody is behind Zimmerman. This is why they wanted to keep it quiet. Else is going on in Sanford. And I'm pretty sure there might be more stories coming up about young black men that might have been harassed in that gated community in Twin Creek or whatever the name of the place is. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but I know it's a twin something in the community of Sanford, out in Sanford, Florida, in Central Florida. And I'm now just saw a video with a young man that just told his side of the story. He was out there walking his dog. Then the young lady, and why are all these people, they asking why are these people, because nobody's asked anything. Nobody said anything. Only person probably knew anything happened and knew something happened to Trayvon was his girlfriend, but she was devastated and probably in trauma. She was traumatized because she kept hearing him saying on the phone when she was speaking to him, someone is following me, and heard a man come up to him and ask, what are you doing in this neighborhood? From what I got from the commentary that I had gotten from what the lawyer of the Martin family was saying, Mr. Crump, and I got that information from him. So what do you expect from a 16-year-old girl who's on the phone with her boyfriend, and next thing you know, she doesn't hear anything anymore, and the next thing you know, you find out he's dead. And people are going to ask the question of why is anybody coming up now? Because nobody was asked or questioned about anything or about the crime when it had happened. Nobody did an investigation. All this man said is that he defended himself and he had blood on his face and wet on his back and grass and dirt on him, when 2 witnesses just came forward and said that they saw this man on top of the kid or straddling him on his back. And you tell me that's not enough circumstances, evidence, so this man could be arrested and turned into the authorities and prosecuted for murder in cold blood? Before I get any more emotional about this whole thing, YouTube people, family and friends on Facebook, tell me what you think. Because I'm just like my mind is so scrambled right now because of what I've heard, what I have already heard from those tapes. I studied, I watched this for the last couple of days. I'm not resting because I'm thinking about my family members. I'm thinking about the children in my family, my friends, their children, children that I work with, children that I watch, all of that. Just something like this happening to people that are close to you and people that you know. And it goes on all the time, and nobody seems like we got to care about our community and we got to care about our young people. This can be anybody's son, anybody's brother, anybody's friend. So I'm looking forward to hear what you got to say. Hope there be some justice for the life of Trayvon Martin. May he rest in peace.
Now that was me, my video that I did this video. I did this video in 13 years ago. 13 years ago, y'all. And here we are in 2025. This was happened in 2012. So here we are, 2025. And this time, it's the perpetrator is Carmelo Anthony, and the deceased is Austin McCaff. It's the opposite. It been flipped. It's now a young 17-year-old athlete takes another 17-year-old athlete. Like the one who was who's the deceased is a white boy, and the one who did the stabbing is a black boy. And how the justice system is handling it. George Zimmerman was a white man, maybe 25, maybe close to 30. I don't remember his age at the time, but Trayvon was only 17. Just turned 17 years old when the white man, George Zimmerman, stalked Trayvon Martin and shot him dead. And after he even told the police what he did, guess what? He was never brought in. He was allowed to go home. There was no charge. There was no bond, nothing done to George Zimmerman when he stalked and killed Trayvon Martin. And this is why it's so important to look back at events that has happened in the past and how the justice system has handled it. But Carmelo was arrested right then and there, charged, and was put on $1 million bond. Now you tell me that's fair justice, that was fair. He didn't stalk. Carmelo didn't stalk Austin. Austin bullied Carmelo. He got in Carmelo's space. Carmelo was the track runner and was supposed to be there. His school was his classmates were there, his teammates were there, and some of the kids in the school that knew Carmelo was there. Carmelo didn't go to the school, but Carmelo school was there as a visiting team. And Carmelo was one of the children participating in the track event. When Austin stepped to him, he's not supposed to be there, pushed him, punched him in the face, and that's when Carmelo took the tent, the thing that they used for the tent. It wasn't a knife, y'all. And you're going to find that out when all the details come out. You're going to find out what's really happened before all the details. That's why they're going so hard on the media to try to spin this narrative that this young man, Carmelo Anthony, is a murderer when he was when it was self-defense. Carmelo even asked when he did it and he was arrested, was the kid going to be okay? He showed remorse. He didn't want to do it. So don't try to make him sound like some cold-blooded murderer like George Zimmerman. All American, black American kids get in America while everybody else get to run around and live the American dream is nightmares. And it has to stop at some point. With that being said, I gotta go. You have a wonderful and blessed day.